Welcome to my channel. This is Hot Mess and Hot Glue. My name is Lynn. Today we are having some fun with some decorative boxes, most of them being from the kind of gift giving section there at Dollar Tree. The first one we're going to start with here is going to be one from the Christmas time. It's from Christmas time. It's just this really large box. I didn't end up using it for gift giving. I was originally storing some of my wood skewers from the Dollar Tree in it, and it's just such a good size box. And as I'm packing, I'm just kind of, looking at things in a different way, and I just really thought that there's a little bit more potential to this. So I wanted to kind of see what I could do. So by taking the ruler, cutting out these area here, I'm going to give everything one full coat. You could probably hear my cat in the back. She's very lonely today. My husband isn't here, and that is her person. So once I got the middle portions cut out and the entire lantern painted, well, now it's going to be a lantern. Oh, look at that. I decided to use some of these skewers just to kind of add just a little bit more detail. It was a little plain. I have done lanterns in the past, and I just kind of, again, wanted to create something that I could use as a collective, but then that was also kind of different on its own. Now, I find that when I'm cutting these little skewers, the little animal nail clippers, I guess the little dog clippers, they work best. So if you're at Dollar Tree and you see those, I would pick them up. I feel that they work much better even than a really good pair of scissors. So now that I'm framing out the kind of like window part of the lantern, I'm going to do this on all four sides. I'm just going to show you the one side here. Once I got it framed out, I realized just adding that little X would make a huge difference. And so for the added detail, I went through and added that as well. Now on the top of the lantern, I had started by using one large, just kind of square from Crafter's square wood pieces. And then I had some of these random things just kind of sitting around in my stock. This is just like a door pull that I'm pretty sure I got in a pack from the thrift store. If you're at the thrift store, definitely check out those like random sections. You can find some really good stuff. Attaching these with just some hot glue and then staining both the skewers and the top of the lantern, I was able to make it a little bit darker, and I ended up with this really cool, very modern looking lantern. Next, I'm going to use this hexagon shaped box, and there's both the lid and the actual box itself that I'm going to make two separate projects out of. So you can find these in the birthday section, and they have all kinds of different sizes, different styles, but why I chose this one was the bottom of this one was really pretty, and then I loved the top also as far as the really pretty flowers go. So for this top one, I'm just going to paint the surrounding portions and the inside of this one. Now I chose white for the lid, but I am going to use black for the inside because that white was just not going to cover without doing a ton of coats on that very bright green. Now for the top part, again, I didn't want to just paint the surround. I did come across a really pretty basket weave looking scrapbook paper, so I decided to use that for the surrounding edge. Using just some basic decor, this little interior of the box is a cute little shelf. I absolutely love it. It's got that really modern kind of floral detail. And then the lid ended up becoming a really cute wall decor that I'm going to hang in the new studio that I'm so excited to get going. Again, we're going to go back to using more of these hexagon gift boxes. The ones that I'm using do come in a set of 2. Now, I wanted to maximize this usage, so we're going to use all of the pieces. We've got the 2 inner pieces that are kind of a deeper section, and then the lids themselves will also be used as just kind of design, I guess. I don't really know how to explain it. So as you can see, I'm just gluing everything together, making sure that it's nice and secure. Now, once it's all glued together, I'm going to take this out to the garage and give everything front, back, and inside a good coat of white spray paint. Once that's dry, I found some scrapbook paper that matched the exterior of the previous project with the pretty leaves. And so I decided to just measure that out, and then I'm going to cut it down so that I can place a piece of the scrapbook paper inside each one of these pieces here. So now that I'm getting them in, I'm just using a glue stick. If you feel more comfortable with Mod Podge, I would say go for it. I find that the glue stick works really well, and I don't get as many bumps as I do that when I personally use Mod Podge. So again, this is going to be a wall hanging. I'm just going to put this up in my daughter's room. I'm so excited. I absolutely love the way this looked out. She was shocked. She could not believe when she saw the end result what it was that I made this from. So we're going to make some planters, and again we're going to use some more of these decorative boxes. Now on this one I chose not to paint the exterior of this bucket first. I thought that by using the joint compound and the paint color here, I'm going to use the color Aloe. I thought that that would be a thick enough and maybe a dark enough solution, but it did take a few coats. So if you were to do something similar, I would recommend going over and just taking the time and painting the outside of this box first. So to apply this mixture, it's really just an eyeballed mixture. It's kind of 50-50, half joint compound and then some paint. What I like is it does not change the color of the paint, but I do go over it in a stippling motion, just meaning I'm using my sponge and I'm going to pounce up and down to apply it. Now for the rim of the box, you can see the lid there. It's over in the side of the camera. I just wanted to create something that was a little bit more on the neutral side, and I have a ton of this cork left over from a couple previous projects, and so I just grabbed some scraps. Now I recommend cutting it all in one piece instead of not measuring it correctly and doing it in two pieces like I did. I went ahead and just traced it, and that's how I got the top portion. So I got the entire lid covered in this really fun cork, and that was just giving it just kind of a more modern feel. Now once I trimmed it down, you could see some of that white part of the box, and that I felt was going to be seen. So I just used Fawn by Waverly, and that color matched the color of the cork really well, and so it gave it a really nice finished look. And then any of the areas of the cork that were kind of cut, maybe jagged, it just kind of camouflaged it. And in the end, this looks so cute. The texture of the gift box and the way that the cork really accents and gives it that very, very natural look. I'm just absolutely obsessed, and I love the way that one turned out. So using some of these craft boxes, again, I'm going to do a couple different projects. I'm going to start with the lid, and I'm just going to paint it white, and then I decided was too white, so I went through with Moss, also by Waverly. I just did one coat. I got enough coverage using one coat just to cover the surrounding ledges. Now I just do a thin layer on kind of the visual portion there that you see me painting on the lid, and then I decided to take another one of those squares that I had used in the lantern, give it a good coat of stain. Now this is Jacobian by Minwax, and I just put way too much on. So once I got the excess removed and it was all dry, then I just decided to kind of see how I liked that up against the lid of the of the other gift box that we're working on, the one painted moss, the one you're looking at. So I found some of these little rub-on transfers, and at first I thought I was just going to make this into like a really cute little almost like coaster and then put some dishwasher safe Mod Podge in there, but again, it's for my daughter, and when she saw it, she thought it was a really cute little wall decor, and I thought, we'll just keep it as wall decor. I can always add like a command hook on the back of it and hang it up somewhere, or if she changes her mind, it can always easily be transitioned into a coaster. So just taking some of these rub-on transfers, I'm just going to cover the inside of this entire piece and then just hot glue the lid to the wood piece itself. This was extremely quick and easy, and again, she wanted this in the end to be something for her wall, so we're going to hang this up in the new house once we are in. Using the lower portion of that square box, so you see here one has a lid, the other one doesn't. I did not show me painting the outside of these boxes because if you see someone paint a box, you've seen it a million times. So I used ink by Waverly, and I did one coat on each one of these gift boxes. Now I'm leaving the lid on the bottom because I wanted to kind of stack these, as you see in like the previous picture. I wanted to stack them so that the lid itself acted as if, you know, like an accent piece. Well, I was also not paying attention, and my little girl was in the room with me, and we were kind of talking, and so I got really sidetracked. And so instead of putting the lid the proper way or keeping the bottom of the box, I ended up having to cut through, and I left myself with a bottomless vase. So I just went in with a piece of cardboard and I replaced the piece that I took off so that this little vase would end up having a bottom part to it. So I really was done after that. I just put a piece of foam down into it, and then I stuck some greenery in there because I just wanted the idea of this very nice, clean, square kind of flower vase. It can be a pencil holder, and I really liked the contrast between the natural kind of craft color and that really crisp black. So we're gonna do now a couple more. For these ones, I took the larger round happy birthday. Now I did paint both of these white to begin with, and then for one of them I came across this really pretty scrapbook paper, and I thought it might be a fun application to cover one of them in this kind of tropical floral kind of modern scrapbook paper. So all I did was cut really thin pieces, and then I'm going to take a very generous amount of Mod Podge. Now I'm using, I believe this is the matte, but I just kind of grabbed what was next to me. I really wasn't too worried if it was matte or glossy, but the whole point I want to make here is you're going to want to use a lot of it. Now this scrapbook paper, it's a little bit more of a cardstock, and so it was very thick and sturdy, and so it took a lot to make sure that both there was a nice generous layer for the scrapbook paper to lay on to get nice and tacky and stick to the bucket itself, and then another really generous layer over the top of it. And this wasn't extremely time consuming. I thought it was kind of relaxing. So once I got that whole bottom one covered, then you'll see here in the picture, it shows the lids are covered, and it's like a bamboo contact paper, and I did not like it. So I didn't bother showing it to you because I'm changing it around. So I'm going to take these large kind of jumbo craft sticks, and I'm going to use those in place of the not the scrapbook paper, the contact paper. So once I get them traced, I'm just going to use the amazing, wonderful tin snips that I always talk about, and those cut through these craft sticks really easily, and I just love the way they work. You could also use regular scissors. These are better. A lot of my scissors are very dull and not very sharp, so I tend to go for those first. Placing them back onto the lid, just kind of like a little jigsaw puzzle to make sure that they're all there. Then just taking a little bit of hot glue, I'm going to just glue these directly to the lid itself. Now, to create the surrounding portion of the lid, I just took the middle portions of these large popsicle sticks and I just cut them into little sections. Now, I was able to bend them, as you see, and kind of snap them, and that gave them almost a natural bend. And so as I'm rounding the corner for the lid, it came out really, really nice. I then went through, sanded both lids all around, kind of cleaning up any rough edges. Now I'm running low on my Waverly antiquing wax, and so I just took the little that I had left, I put it in a cup, and then I added some water, so it's just a watered down version, and we're going to use this again as a stain. So I will paint it on and then I will wipe it off. Now I typically will wipe it off with a wet baby wipe because then there's a lot of extra when it's not diluted, but this time it's already been quite diluted, so I'm just going to use a dry paper towel. This way it's just getting up the moisture and not so much the color. I do this to both lids, and I'm absolutely pleased with how these turned out. Now for that second container, what I did not show on camera, I don't know how I didn't film it, I used more of those rub-on transfers, and I just placed them very randomly all over that painted white surface, and that's how I got the look for that one. Now these can be used as containers, or they can also be used as a floral vase, as I showed you here. So going back to these more rounded gift boxes. Now these are available pretty much year round. I started by giving both of them a full coat of spray paint. Now when I had brought them home. My toddler had grabbed the lid to one of them and completely destroyed it. So the other one doesn't have a lid. So I figured that was still okay. And what I would do is utilize the lid on just one of them to kind of elevate it so that they had staggered appearances. And once I did that, I figured, well, why don't we play with a little bit different finishes and materials? Because originally I was going to cover both of these in this really large piece of scrap faux leather fabric that I have. And then I decided to change that up. So for this one here, this is the shorter of the two. I just cut down the faux leather fabric and then I hot glue it all together, and then taking small strips, I'm going to just cut kind of like a fan out the top and the bottom, and that's going to enable me to then tuck these little extra portions into the vase itself. Now on the top portion where the flowers or pencils or whatever you prefer to put in there are in, I left them very long so that they would cover a good portion inside. Now that seam on the large one, I considered just leaving it as is, but the seam where I connected the lid to the bottom of the container was really just kind of visually bothering me. So I grabbed one of these dollar store purses and I took the strap, the one that makes it a crossbody, because the faux leather is only on half of this, and that makes gluing this a lot easier because then you're attaching it with felt instead of faux leather onto a painted surface. So I recommend using that portion and not the other straps that come with it. So as you can see here, I'm just going to simply wrap this around so that it kind of just kind of camouflages that seam. And I love the contrast between the black paint and again that very light. Now the yellow, because I didn't paint the inside of that one, I went in later and I painted the inside of both of those to make sure that those tacky colors didn't come through. I again love the way these turned out. I just had so much fun with these. I just kind of sat down, had fun, and here are all of the projects that we did today. Please, in the comments below, let me know which one was your favorite. If you would want to recreate any of those, I'm getting really excited. We move in June. And so I'm really excited to show everyone my daughter's finished room with all of these projects. Thank you tremendously for taking the time to click on my video and to watch it. If you like my content, please consider subscribing and giving this video a big thumbs up. Until next time.